you mind leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
First. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I need a motion to adopt the agenda.
Madam President, I make a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Yeah. We're getting plenty of discussion. I'm joking, sorry.
All in favor, raise your right hand and say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay, we have learning without limits tonight. And FCCLA, Stacy Jones.
Good evening. We're usually not until like September or October, but my star FCCLA student is headed to the Upper Peninsula to MIT in a couple of weeks. So I asked if we could be early this year. We went to DC this year. I took six, I don't know. I believe you will hear from those who traveled this summer to nationals, at least Sarah Anderson, who, by the way, deserves a huge raise, told me, she's our bookkeeper. She makes our lives so much easier, but she told me that our experience was not unusual. We were laid over on our way out, couldn't get out of Kansas City for several hours, but without talking to us. They rescheduled us out of Atlanta. So we got to Atlanta and had to find a place to stay overnight, an extra almost $600 for that. We finally got into DC very late in the day that competition started. It was hot and we learned the subsystem, the metro, and then we walked uphill in DC hot cement to our hotel, which was nice. Thankfully, Megan didn't compete until the next day. And Megan competed in entrepreneurship. But just the hilarity of the entire trip kept going the whole time. There were just issues after another. We were a 20-minute walk and a 20-minute metro ride to the convention center. There were 10,000 FCCLA students and their additional adults in DC over the 4th of July. And there was construction and there was the Great American Fair. I told the students that I was sad that they weren't seeing DC the way it's supposed to be seen. There were blockades all over the place. You couldn't see across the mall. Mm-hmm. And that, to me, that's one of the most beautiful parts of DC is that big mall that you can walk across. But they got an amazing education in seeing as many of the Smithsonians as we possibly could. A small group wanted to go hug Highland cows. We had a wonderful Uber driver who videoed with us and quizzed our students on some of the presentations they were doing. So that was so much fun. And we then paid him to take us to see the Highland cows. And these experiences are things that these students are never going to get to do again in their lives. And we really appreciate the opportunity. Now I'm going to have Megan tell you a little bit about her STAR event, Students Taking Action with Recognition.
Hello, everybody. So my name is Megan. This was my 5th year in FCCLA, my 5th year competing at nationals. So my STAR event was entrepreneurship. So I created a business and a business plan. So I chose to make a bakery made by Megan because I bake in my personal life. And people have always told me, like, you could sell this. Why don't you? So I kind of explored the hypotheticals of what that would be. And I thought it was really fun. And I think that FCCLA, like, this is the point. It's to give students an outlet for their passions and to combine that with career ready skills. And I found it to be just an amazing experience to wrap up my high school FCCLA experience and just to make sure that I was feeling confident in myself, not only my presentation skills, but also like networking with other students across the country, making sure that I have all the details in my presentation, going through spreadsheets, everything everything like that. And I just thought it was really cool. And like Joan said, we might have had some mishaps along the way, but it was still really fun. And I think that all the students really will never forget this experience. And I think it's just a great way to get kids out in the world and make sure that they're, not stuck in their own little bubble and they can meet people, see things, do things that they're never going to get to do again.
So we thank you for the opportunity. And next year we go to San Antonio. I'm excited about that.
That should be easier to travel for you.
Hopefully.
At the time, I'm thinking it's only a 12-hour drive.
Yeah.
But some of the other sponsors, I said, it's a good thing. Nationals is kind of like childbirth. You forget what you've gone through by the time the next one rolls
Yeah.
around. Otherwise, I don't know that I'd ever go again.
Yeah.
It was awful, but it was good. So thank you very much for the opportunity to be here.
Megan, I have a question.
Yes.
What are you going to be studying?
So I'm going to Michigan Tech in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, and I'm going to double major in biomedical engineering and exercise science. And then I'm going to get my general eds through a minor in public policy.
And then have a bakery on the side.
Yeah, that's probably, so I'm going to get my master's in occupational therapy after that, but that's going to be side hustle.
Oh, nice.
And then we have a recap video that I made with just some pictures
Okay.
from the trip.
Just as a side note, I'm a part-time pastor, and when I posted the picture of myself at the president's desk and everybody else around, they were like, "Oh, I like that president and her cabinet." The church members love that. Again, thank you very much.
Thank you. Hey, Tatiana Dowling with your teacher appreciation, apprentice, not appreciation. Well, appreciation, yes, but apprentice.
I guess both of them. Right?
We'll do both.
Hi, my name's Tatiana Dowling, for those of you that don't know me. And I'm going into my 10th year teaching at Seaman. I started out as an English teacher, and then I've kind of moved into internship and CTE. And that's kind of where the teaching apprentice program stems from coming into it. So I'm going to kind of just tell you all about what I think would be a great way for us to recruit young teachers while also giving our own kids real life experience. Okay, so the need, this will be the agenda, but I'll kind of go through the need, the program and the benefits, and then a little bit of like funding contract pieces. But I'm just going to kind of touch on everything. And then Candace said that she supplied you with the full program that I wrote up so that you can kind of dive in a little bit deeper if you want to. So as you know, there's about 2,000 jobs the last couple of years for teachers. And so there's been a really big need for teachers all over the state of Kansas, but also then specifically in our district. We're in a huge teacher shortage, especially at the high school level we've seen, but also in elementary and middle school levels as well. And so the colleges just aren't supplying as many teachers as a lot of the schools need. And so that's kind of where the apprentice program comes in to hopefully help us make our own teachers and then keep them here. Teacher candidates also often come out with multiple job offers. And so I think even with talking to Tanner, he was saying like teachers, our future teachers that I'm interviewing, we're like interviewing and they are interviewing us at the same time, not just like one way, like it kind of used to be when there were so many. So that's kind of where the need comes in. And then I'll show the program and the benefits a little bit. If we go to the next. Okay. So enrollment and employment, it kind of looks like the teachers would be enrolled, or their apprentices would be enrolled through Seaman. They'd be taking their normal classes, and then for a couple hours a day, or double blocking, which a lot of ours right now will be double blocked 6th and 7th hour, which means that they'll go every single day to the elementary schools that they're placed in. So they'll be doing their schoolwork, but then also working for about a third of the day or so. With this model, we as USD 345 will also employ them. So it is a paid position when they are getting their experience in the elementary schools. And that's part of the youth apprenticeship program requirements that are brought to us by KSDE. So it's a requirement on their part that we pay them, but it also is a really great incentive, I think, for our students. With that idea, we are teaching them quite a few college classes at the high school using our CEP partnership with Washburn. And so they're able to get a lot of their college courses out of the way so that we can graduate them sooner from college. Not that we want them to skip all of that, but then we get them back a little bit sooner too. And so we're not letting them go far or go for very long without reminding them that USD 345 is where they want to be. So with that, we were able to work with Washburn to even increase the CEP courses to where they were able to let us do 2 more education CEP courses this coming year. One's going to be taught by Morgan Semino, but then another one by Brooke Ralph, both who have masters in curriculum and instruction. And so it's a really great opportunity for our students to learn from some of our very best teachers, and even a teacher too that's an I coach right now who teaches our teachers how to be better teachers. So it's a really great partnership there. In addition to that partnership, we are partnering with some of the mentor teachers at our elementary schools this year. We didn't have anybody interested in secondary so far, but we're hopefully going to grow that as it goes on. But we're partnering with those elementary school teachers, and then the I coaches, especially after talking to them at new teacher orientation things, are really on board and have been really helpful in connecting our students and our apprentices with all the resources that they're going to need at the schools that they're placed at. In addition to that, with their instruction, I am their main teacher then that they'll see at the high school, and we'll try and meet about once a week, depending on what their schedules are within their classrooms that they're serving in. But I was able to collaborate with Megan Nussbaum and then the department chair at Washburn University for the education department to create a weekly checklist that students and their mentors will be able to go through. So it mirrors a lot and it has the same formatting. Thank you for the formatting of our mentor checklist that we have here at Seaman, but then also brings in some of the student teaching aspects from Washburn, and it gives everybody a guide of what they're going to be going through each week, and they can check it off as they go. In addition to like what they're going to, if they're going to teach a lesson or a portion of a lesson, or if they're just going to accommodate something, etc. The assessment portion, KSDE makes you decide how you're going to assess students. And so of the options that were there, I thought that a competency-based system would be the best. So I provide the teacher and the students with rubrics of what I would like for the apprentices to learn and to cover. And then we're able to assess them based on the rubric. So in your packets, there's a full rubric, and it's a little long, but it has a bunch of different aspects from instructing and how the students are instructing other students, our apprentices are instructing other students, all the way to job skills that I felt were important based on what we've seen in the classroom and in meetings with companies and businesses in our area. So in addition to that, the mentors will fill that out on the students, but similar to our internship program, the students will also fill it out on themselves so that they kind of have that self-reflection piece and can kind of compare and contrast, and it becomes more of a helpful tool instead of a judgmental tool, hopefully, in their eyes. So for the funding part, which we've kind of talked about a little bit already, we do pay them. USD 345 would need to pay the apprentices. That's part of the youth registered apprentice guidelines from KSDE, and they have to have a scale. So they start at something, and each year the salary must increase. And our financial department is able to set that salary scale. So they've come up with those numbers. In addition to that, the state of Kansas supplies each mentor every year, or each apprentice every year, with a $2,750 stipend or scholarship for their college classwork, which is a really huge benefit for our students because it will set them so much further ahead by being able to go to some of those college classes for partially free through that apprentice program. And Washburn just lowered the cost. I'm sure you saw in the news, but they just lowered the cost by 30%. So it's a huge bump because they'll be able to get so many more classes paid for and come out as teachers with less debt. Part of that idea, though, is that the district does, from what I've seen in collaboration with 501 and Spring Hill specifically, I've talked to their people that have ran this program a lot and met with them a lot. And the best way that they kind of proposed was that the district fronts that cost of tuition, because then it's later reimbursed through the youth apprentice program when we apply for that reimbursement. And Tanner and I are working on the paperwork this Wednesday, hopefully. So we've kind of got hopefully a plan in the future. Some other cool things are that I've talked to a lot to Workforce One, which is set up to serve students and just all employees and people of Kansas and help people find jobs, maintain jobs, get to jobs, and all the things they do, everything from provide rides to mentors for people who have struggled. And so they have a whole entire list, but if students qualify for their services, then not only do they provide them a mentor, but they also then have the potential to reimburse the district for the wages that the student would need for their working hours. So not every student will qualify for that in our district, but it is a potential to help the cost with our district because we all know that money is a challenge lately. So on the next two slides are proposed four-year plans, and I know it's kind of difficult to see. The general idea is that I was just trying to lay it out so that you could see that all graduation requirements could be fulfilled in the four-year plans, and it would kind of give you a gist of what they could take. They don't have to go in this order. They can fill it in with different things, but this is just a proposed thing. If they come in their freshman year and they know, I want to become a teacher, what should my schedule look like so that I can do it? It's laid out for them. And it includes kind of the updates of being able to take like a college speech class through an independent study, because we don't have a college speech teacher right now, but also taking our 2 education classes as college credits as well. And then also being able to double block them both their junior and senior year if they stay on this track to graduate, because there are different hour requirements, which we would more than meet and exceed as long as we're able to kind of double block them for the most part. So then on the benefits slide, I think it is obvious, but it helps cultivate that relationship between the student and our district and our teachers. So they're learning from who we believe is the best, right? Because we put these teachers in these positions. And it gives them a chance to give back to the Seaman community, which I really like, obviously being from here and going here and coming here and wanting to give back myself. But number 2, it offers incentives and resources to students so that they can become future teachers and cut the cost of tuition. One of the things that was recently proposed when I was talking to our rep from KSCE is that he believes that then they could go on to their college institutions, whichever ones that they wanted to go to, and still get the $2,750 each year as long as they talk to their college, and then their college would apply for them to be the apprentice. And so that's a really huge advantage for our students just by us starting them in it. It's almost a $12,000 difference for their futures. In addition to the fact that they would earn money while we're teaching them how to be the best teachers that they can be. But then it's a long-term recruitment strategy for us too. We receive highly qualified teachers that we've trained ourselves that want to come back here because they believe that Seaman's the best place to be, like all of us. And then in conclusion, hopefully with all of those things, we would be able to, as long as they're successful, offer them an early offer contract that is stipulating on if they graduate from college and they pass all their tests and things like that. But knowing that we would have them back right away, I feel like gets our foot in the door before they have the opportunity to go other places and talk to other people. And then a little bit of a perk for the mentors, besides getting like some refreshing new ideas with a young teacher and help in your classroom, is that they can earn PD points, which helps them move over on the salary schedule and all of those things as well. Questions?
Could you share the mentor handbook with us?
Yes.
That sounds really cool.
The teaching one that I made or the mentor one from Megan? The
Yes.
apprentice one for me?
The one that you had mentioned it up here, just.
The one I made, the
Yeah,
apprentice.
I'd just like to see
Okay.
that, so.
Yeah, I can.
That's the end. When do they get in the classroom? Not till junior or senior year in the classroom, or do they, even if they come in as freshmen and they wanna start the program, do they get in the classroom then?
So the program for in the classroom pieces with the apprentice part, that starts their junior and senior year. But they can take some of our other education classes earlier, and those have classroom hours. So for example, like last year when I taught teaching as a career, we were in the classroom all the time with those students, and those could have been any grade. Most of them were ended up being juniors just because I think of how it was marketed in the past, but it could be earlier too.
So sorry, Tatiana, just for clarification, the year 3 and year 4, that like if they're freshman, sophomore in college, that pay rate?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, if we kept them. So if they went to Washburn and they were doing more classes there, year 3 and 4 would be their college
Gotcha.
years. Yes.
Thank you.
Good question.
So do you see an increase or decrease in participation from outlying companies in engagement in this? From when you took it over,
The internship program as a whole?
the internship?
I think that when Gita first started it, it was really starting to boom. I think when I talked to her about it a few years ago, before COVID had happened, she had kind of a similar participation, I would say. And then COVID happened, and I think that a lot of companies withdrew, and I still see some of that, like some that aren't quite comfortable with taking on high school students that we've worked with in the past. But now I think it's starting to grow again. When Gita had it, I think it was like 30 to 45 students typically. And last year, I think we got up to like 55 or so, which is quite a few people for our community, especially of North Topeka, to facilitate, I think. So it's been good.
So what do they have to do to qualify for the college tuition scholarship, the 2750?
We would have to register them as a youth apprentice. So the way that we've done it so far this year, which I hope to get better at every single year and make it a little more smooth, is they apply for our internship program. And when they applied for our internship program, then I brought them in for interviews. So they had to submit like a cover letter, a whole application. I brought them in for interviews with a teaching panel, and Tanner was on the interviews as well. We went through a series of questions with them and then discussed and decided which ones to accept. So that is how they qualified this time. And then Tanner and I would sit down on this coming Wednesday, hopefully, as long as you guys approve, and then apply for them to officially be a part of it through the state of
And we
Kansas.
pay them as a district some too.
Yes, yep. We'll pay them for that.
The state's paying that, is that what you said?
The state will reimburse that through the youth apprenticeship program, the registered youth apprenticeship program. Yeah. But that is strictly for their college tuition. Like it's not just $2,750 that we give them to spend on a nice outfit.
And Tatiana, quick question, since this is the first year, do those kids have to do like a presentation, like the internship class students have to do?
Yes, I plan on keeping some of those things the same. They probably won't get to be in my physical class as often as the internship students will, because since they're double blocked, they'll also be able to go on some Mondays, depending on what our schedules are like. But they will still have to do a final presentation, and y'all can come if you'd like to. So
You just have to let us know the date.
I will, yeah, I will.
So I had a question about I would call them cooperating teachers. So how did that work out? Did you have a lot of teachers who said, yeah, I'd like to do that, or what?
So almost all of these students were in my teaching as a career class last year, and we tried to get into every single elementary school last year to
Okay.
give them a wide
Yeah.
variety of experiences. And some of them were able to work with some of these teachers a little bit last year for small amounts of time. But some of that came based off of our student requests and who they knew and who they'd like to go back to, grade level needs, and what our students would like as far as grade level principal recommendations. And so it wasn't opened up to all
Yeah.
teachers yet. Hopefully as we grow, it would be. I went to the middle school last year to market kind of the teaching pathway and teaching apprenticeship program, hopefully for the future. And we had 34 eighth graders come to the meeting. So it was really good because it looks like it could grow. Last year in the teaching as a career class, I only had 13 students, but hopefully if you start with 34, you're able to
Sure.
get a class of like 25
Yeah.
going.
Yeah.
So
So the six, excuse me, that were at convocation, what years are they? Are they all juniors?
they're all seniors. So they're kind of our pilot class. And then as we've started teaching, like Morgan's classes full of freshmen, sophomores, and juniors,
Okay.
hopefully we'll be able to start it to where they would go all the way through then. But this being teaching as a career, I only had juniors in it last year just because of how it was set up in our, I think in our program planning guide and all the steps that they did to take it and how it was marketed. And we didn't have as many young people interested yet with having taken the right classes.
That was cool seeing them there.
It was, they were mortified, but also excited. They were super nervous. They were super nervous for the new teacher orientation that they went to too. They went like a full day, a couple days before that. And it was cute to see them all show up in their professional outfits, get all geared up for it. So
I introduced myself as Brad to them, and I think a couple of them about dropped over.
they probably did. Yeah.
They probably won't call you.
No.
You can try though.
We treated them like the,
I don't even think we call you
Yeah.
Brad at the high school yet.
It's fantastic.
Yes, I think it's
exciting.
wonderful.
That's
Thank
awesome. Thank you.
Game changer, the apprenticeship stuff. That can be something they could work through in high school and college. Like if not maybe all of college, but just like the getting paid while you student teach, like that's unheard of.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
Yeah, it has been really fun to collaborate with other schools and figure it out.
Thank you for
Thank
taking
you.
that on.
No, thank you guys.
So, one last question. Selfishly, teaching is great. What about skilled trades? Is that 2750 roll through to a skilled trade such as
That's something I'd have to do some research on. I would assume that the answer is yes, but I don't want to speak without researching it because it's reimbursed through the registered youth apprentice program.
anybody wants to apprenticeship program?
Yeah.
Construction?
Yes,
It's been a couple of years since I've had one. It's a great experience when I had them, so.
yeah,
um,
sure. Well, I know they're building that whole new wing, right, and need a bunch more
Yeah.
positions like what you sent in the
We
spring.
just opened Washburn Tech just up the road.
Yes, for sure. Have you been involved in any of the FAME Academy stuff that just got brought to Topeka? I'm a part of that committee too, and they have a lot of really great things in our applications are opening on September 1st. So I plan to push it out to our students and
I know in my
do a plan for
employment,
you.
we have a hard time filling positions. So we've partnered with Washburn Tech to build our own, and this is a great pipeline into that, and I would love to have a conversation with you
Yeah.
about how that can facilitate, because not everybody's gonna be a teacher, not everybody's gonna be an accountant.
For sure.
Just
That's awesome.
throwing that out there.
Yeah, I love that. I'll email.
Anything else?
Thank you to you, Tatiana, and to Morgan
Yes.
for all of
Yes.
that.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Oregon did a lot.
Superintendent remarks. Oh, public communications, do we have any? I'm sorry. Okay, superintendent.
Thank you. I'd like to take a moment to recognize our negotiations team. Representing the board was Tanner Smith, Lisa Mirando, Donna McGinty, Michelle Cogdill, and then Donna Street, Mary Beck, Jill Becker, Luke Weens, Michael Holt, and Jamie Leduc for the SEA. In a year where very few districts were able to give raises surpassing 3%, they worked together to not only secure a 4.4% average raise, as well as other provisions that will help our certified staff. Thank you all for your many hours of work and giving up your evenings to make this a collaborative process. I'd also like to thank our district staff and principals for providing welcoming informative and enjoyable new teacher orientation last week. Megan did a lot of work to organize that. We have an exceptional group of new certified staff members. And of course, the 6 teacher apprentices joined the orientation and were part of our new teams. I'd also like to thank the teachers who are hosting our teacher apprentices. And of course, Tatiana and Morgan, who are helping develop those young ladies. It is an honorable profession for them to enter into. And so just very proud of how they conducted themselves and that they're willing to put themselves out and do this. Thank you.
President remarks, before I say anything, does anyone else have anything you'd like to comment on? Well, I had the honor of speaking to all the staff the other day. I think I spent 3 weeks thinking about what to say, had a lot of notes on paper and whittled it down to a note card, thankfully. But it made me really reflect on my years of teaching, and I got to thinking of what were the things that I hoped that I had instilled in students. And the 3 things really I came up with was being a problem solver, persevering, and how you deal with people. And so that's where my heart was. I know that our teachers are working with the next generation of our community leaders, and I just commend them. I understand where they're at, and I just value them. So the best is yet to come. Have a good school year. Okay, disposition of business by consent.
Madam President, I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
I have a motion by Christie, second by Braden. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your hand and say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion passed. Discussion items. Megan.
Okay, good evening. Happy August, a very busy time of year. I've several things that are in my report, and they're related to the trainings and things that teachers have going on over starting last Friday and over the next couple of days as we get all prepped for the school year. So 3 of them that I just wanted to touch base on. One of them is fresh from today. We had Mathis Early Learning Center, Logan Elementary, and Northern Hills Elementary participate in their conscious discipline training. This is a training that those buildings adopted for this school year, and it's all about the adult behaviors that our staff and buildings can adopt in order to really have a positive behavior approach on instruction and students. And so we're really excited about the first step, this launch training, and we will continue to have some on-site coaching with our trainers that we met today twice over the coming year, as well as a follow-up training. So it's an ongoing integrated approach in order to get conscious discipline going in those buildings. That was on page 1. On page 2, I've highlighted that we have the training happening for our newly adopted lab aid science curriculum. That's the one that you guys just approved the adoption of last spring. So our middle school staff had a trainer come on site in July. Tomorrow, our 6th grade teachers who are using lab aids will receive their training. And overall, this appears to be a just what we expected, high quality, hands-on science curriculum that really gets students critically thinking and doing the science work. And then finally, last week, we had Mary Lonker, the English Language Arts Program Director from Kansas State Department of Education, come and work with our ELA Selection Committee, which is comprised of staff from kindergarten all the way up to those who teach our seniors in high school, who were interested in hearing more about KSDE's look-fors for a high-quality English language arts resource. And that is serving as our launch to enter into an ELA review and potential adoption recommendation year. So that's a big year for us in curriculum and instruction, and ties right along with our literacy focus that we have adopted with our work with multi-tiered system of supports. So really everything is coming together. We're excited to look closely at literacy. We appreciate appreciate Mary from KSD coming to set some of those standards and things that we should be looking for. And I'll be updating you guys over the course of the year on the work that we're doing for ELA. So any questions for me? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Megan. Special Services, Deidre.
Good evening, everyone. In my quest to ensure our staff working with our students with disabilities are supported and ready to go on day one, we switched some things up this year in special services. Two are in my board report that I will talk about. First of all, we created an NCI training, an initial NCI training, which is all day. Prior to school starting this year, in the past, we've always done it in September, waiting for some of our last minute peers to be hired. It is kind of a burden because then it takes a lot of people out of the classroom right away at the beginning of the school year. So we provided it before school started. We invited our neighbors to the west because they needed some help with NCI training as well. And we had a large group. We will continue to do it in September because we do have some people that are hired between then and September 19th. So we'll do it again. But we had a great attendance and everybody was very appreciative of that. And people will be ready to go day one. And then in our behavior programs, we have two new behavior teachers last year and then one behavior teacher this year over at Logan. So we wanted to provide them some intensive supports and instruction around just how to set up that classroom, how to get your routines together. And so we can all be ready day one. So we invited our behavior specialist, our instructional coach, and those two teachers that were hired last year, and then our brand new teacher to meet and provide that training and get support, set up the classroom. We had a work day where we all went in and helped. And I'm very excited about that. Maintenance was in today, pointing at Lance, and helped us with some things last minute that we said, we need this, and we need this removed, and to keep everybody safe and ready to go. So I'm excited that we were able to do that this year. It's all about getting everybody prepared before school starts. Questions? Okay.
Thank you. Lance, Facility and Grounds.
Back in May, I said June was gonna be my big month. Well, guess what? It wasn't. It was my month, July. So month of June, I'm glad we all had off because we didn't get much done. Seaman High School, we started the sewer line back in the beginning of school last year. We finished the process over the summer, of course, the end of June, 1st of July. The picture over on the right side, you could see the clay pipe. There was about 12 feet of it that was collapsed by the time that we got everything done. So it was perfect timing to get it done over the summer. So it didn't cause us an issue for the upcoming school year. Most of that piping was clay coming out of the building, and it was not good. So everything's been replaced. You can see the last picture right there, PVC, so everything's been done, changed, and we're ready to roll. Belmont, 2 years ago in the music room, we never figured out who broke the window in the music room, but it's a tornado shelter. That window was outrageous. So we replaced it with brick and cost us a whole lot cheaper. So, and you can't even tell where the bricks are. So
You did a great job.
You did a great job.
Mason area is, he's been in the district for quite a while.
Tell the color's a little bit different, but
Actually, his dad is the one that did most of the work in the district. And his son is taking it over now. So it's, the magic is switched. So the fencing around baseball, the transformers, and then if you noticed outside here around our HVAC, we replaced everything. Everything is upgraded. No more wood falling apart pieces. I didn't get a picture of the high school, but we can drive around Wednesday and look. But yeah, Kim Fancy did all that. High school. This is the HVAC that Marty kept telling me to take a chill pill on. It will happen. It did. So of course it was the hardest part of the year. 103 degrees on Monday. heat index of 120, and we only got 2 units done. Everybody was a little grumpy and irritable. But then Tuesday we got the other 7 done. So yeah, a lot of trying to block the classrooms, the hallways, so that people weren't walking directly underneath the units is a full task for sure. But we got them all done, and the last one will be up and running tomorrow. So, and then the concrete, nope, no, go down. And this is the robot that we bought here 2 years ago. We got it to the point where we can do the parking lots now. We did the road course. Of course, we got the road course, then got James and Charles test run it with water. It would have been about 30 feet short. So it took us about 2 weeks. And the guy that programmed lives in Switzerland. So that's what took so long. So we got it all fixed. We got it all done, laid out. And you could tell the last 3 people that have done it didn't do it by satellite. So eventually all those lines will be gone and ours will be right over top of each other. But this robot does parking lots now. So we're going to start marking all of our parking lots inside the district. And then our concrete work. So this is on the backside of Seaman High School where the food service is. It was starting to crumble and fall. We had a gentleman almost break his leg last year because coming off the semi. So we fixed that real quick. So we put a steel plate inside the concrete and reinforced it with some more rubber backing. All of our handicap, yeah, that's the finished product.
Mhm.
The outside the west area of the high school, right where you enter in the gym for games. A lot of that concrete, we had lights underneath that pillar. Water was getting underneath of it, the lights weren't working. So we pulled all the lights, had it all redone so the concrete, so we can actually walk in and out of there without anybody tripping hazard. And then our handicap, we had the plastic inserts, Shriners did the front of the middle school underneath the awning a couple years ago, put dye in it. So we went ahead and did all the handicap, all concrete with red dye. So it'll last a lot longer than those plastic inserts. Super. So we did it at the high school, North Fairview, middle school. We already did it at WI. Elmont's good. So we got them all replaced this year, so we're all good. That was it, wasn't it? We're in. So that was our month of July. We all got that crammed in there in about 25 days. I was a little twitchy, but good. So
Then on to August.
Work in a short time.
Yeah,
yes,
What?
it is.
Yeah.
But
What would you estimate the dollar value of work done in that 25 days?
Lisa might say was.
I was gonna say, just the HVAC was 1.1 point,
Probably 1.5, 1.6.
just on the HVAC.
It's amazing crunch time.
Well, it was supposed to have been done right after or before 4th of July. But train was having some problems getting some pieces in, so everything got moved to.
All of those projects that you showed us, they were all completed at or under budget.
Right, yeah, right under or right at,
Look,
so.
congratulations, great work.
good job. Thank you. Any questions for Lance on that?
Madam President.
Huh?
So I go by Indian Creek all the time. Looks like you're hauling stuff out or starting to.
So, Indian Creek, we've started, McPherson Racking started on Thursday of last week. Yeah, Thursday of last week. They've got all of the ceiling tiles out. They've got everything working on concrete walls where the asbestos is. We gave them a deadline. Yeah. We gave them a deadline not to push us until after Labor Day. So they're helping us and we're helping them. But I figured Wednesday we can maybe drive by.
So Lance, and this might be a Marty question as well. I know Beacon North Outreach had some stuff there and I think they were picking their stuff up.
Correct.
Do they have a church they're going to be going to? Do we know that for sure yet?
It's,
The end last week, we kept communication with them.
Mhm.
And they had told us that they had a church that they were finalizing things. And I hope that it would be
Yeah.
something that they.
So we're not 100% finalized, but we think there's a place for them. That would be nice.
That's good.
What do you do with all of the stuff that was being stored there?
It's in the dumpster.
so,
Actually, your backyard.
Yeah.
so we have rearranged the red shed to the north of it. We have rearranged Pleasant Hill downstairs to house all of our carpet tile. We have done a lot of rearranging and moving, and there's a lot of outline sheds that we are using for some of the desks that we want to keep, some of the chairs we want to keep. There's about 3 outline sheds we have in the district that are not being used. So.
Some of the buildings are keeping some of their stuff that they usually would ask you to move, aren't they?
So,
Did you
What if they
get
don't have
rid of anything?
yes, we are getting rid of a lot of stuff, but it's just,
Good job.
it's, the point of it is that some of us don't want to let go.
Right, right.
So we're trying to accommodate that. So we moved a lot of stuff in the red shed. It's just north of Indian Creek.
Okay.
And we're housing a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
So.
You know, if we had that building out there, Logan, the old.
Oh,
Don't go there.
we may, there's a little birdie told me we may come back to you with some requests for some less expensive storage options for you guys in the future. That won't cost us a fortune to insure as well.
Lance. Is the playground, everything's going down as well?
Yes.
Well, I think.
What was that, Diana? I'm sorry.
Asking about the playground equipment that's
Oh.
there because it's not being maintained, so I think there's probably a safety issue there,
And it
so.
was, and by the time we're all said and done, everything will be ready to roll for future. So.
Thank you.
Anything else on that?
So what's your next 3 to 5 major risks for our district? Facility wise?
Are you talking about program evaluation?
That's our next thing, so.
I asked you what your next 3 to 5. We really need to focus on this point on.
So our next item on the agenda is the program evaluation, and maybe that's a question for that part. So let's go to that and then hold that question. Go ahead, Lance, program evaluation for facilities and ground management.
So this is for facilities and grounds. This is our maintenance and custodials. And then the beginning of it is our program description, stakeholder groups. But the real big thing is my program goals for the district for the future. One of my tasks is provide efficient cleaning and maintaining the facilities. We're pretty much doing that because over COVID, we brought in the new stuff that Curzon was having us do. We were only out of school for 2 weeks, and Topeka High or 501 and Shawnee Heights were coming over here asking us how we did that. And we had that all programmed pretty much in place. So we were not very long out of school when we were back in having school again. But HVAC is the main one. Trying to do our routine preventative maintenance. The guys have been doing awesome. We just got a new plumber. He started today. Actually, he's energetic. 10 million questions, and there is no such thing as too many questions, but he's asked. So But yeah, our plumbing and chemicals, and it's just anytime that we can upgrade, something new comes out, I'm going to go to the conventions or the classes and see if there's anything new that come up. Building and developing high performance, as you've seen at my the meeting on Friday, try to hit every school. I think there's people out there excited about it. Some people are like, why? So I was like, okay. Recognize staff accomplishments, try to give positive notes to the guys, especially custodians. There's some days that they feel like they're just running 100 miles an hour and they need to be appreciated. There's days that they're pretty stressed, so I try to go over, either help them or the guys could try to go over and help them prolong it so that they're not down on themselves. So if we could just help them. So evaluations, I know that Tanner and he's brought up that we wanted to start doing evaluations. In the past, evaluations were just to beat somebody up. I'm tired of doing that because that doesn't keep it positive. I want to keep everything positive since I've taken over, and seems to be doing quite well. The other one is the enhanced training. I want a designated area that I can bring a custodian or a maintenance guy in and be able to go through a classroom and just, instead of coming in at 4:30 while people are coming in and out, I'd like to be able to at least get 2-3 hours ahead of time, get them all situated, train them on what chemicals, everything that we're doing in a school setting. That's one of my goals. I know that Shawnee Heights has that Mike out there. He's the director out there. We actually been talking, and he wants to do the same thing. The other one is first aid, CPR. We stopped doing that right before COVID, and I've had a lot of custodians and maintenance guys want to know if we could bring it back in. So Jamie and I have been talking, and I'd like to bring it back in for the custodians, but usually it's us or SRO. That's usually the first one there. So it never fails. So I just want to bring that back. And then capital outlay. This is, I know what you were talking about. My goal prior to before was to go through every school, talk with the custodians, talk with the principals. We've actually, Marty and I started talking to some of the teachers about requests. So we're getting the full depth of everything. And I like that idea. It's just some of them are a little bit outrageous, but hey, it's a goal. We can get it. Just like the canopies, we got the canopies. A lot of the teachers were wanting those canopies, and we got them. WI used, North Fairview used theirs a ton. The other thing is the long range. I would like to see upgrades in the district where there's certain points of the high school that need to be updated. We're trying to, some of the stuff that we got up at the high school, we can't order stuff for. And we can upgrade it now if we want, but it's just everything that's around it needs to be upgraded also. So it's just, the goal is to keep moving forward and trying to upgrade the outdated stuff. I mean, it's just, there's a lot of stuff it needs to be upgraded. So
Lance, I know that the vast majority of our capital outlay budget gets spent on either HVAC units like you put into the high school this year and rooftops. What's next on your list for those two big projects? Who's the next roofer HVAC? You know,
So actually, our rooftops last year at WI and Northern Hills was our last ones.
okay, good.
I think we're about 5 years out.
Okay.
4 years out. You know,
We're in good shape because we'd also done, we extended it, did all of the, all the rest of it. With anticipation for HVAC units this year, so roofing, we're in good shape.
roofing, we're in really good shape. HVAC, we're in really good shape. Next school is Mathis.
Okay.
We started replacing some of those units here a couple of years ago. We replaced a couple of them last year, so we don't have as many to do at Mathis.
Was that one at one time? I remember if we have issues in certain rooms, do they have a lot of smaller ones? Or
Yep.
hallway, moving that to oh yeah, the hallway was not.
They have one.
Yeah.
It was the hallways, so
Yeah.
that's what we brought in 2 years ago because Denise
you.
was having problems with the carpets that we had in the
Oh, yeah.
hallways. It was brutal.
Thank you.
And HVAC we brought in for the hallways and the teachers with the heating and cooling. It has made it more,
I tried to get them to teach the kids about cloud formation and this, but yeah.
that was definitely a place to go do that in hallways. So the other one is my goal for myself is to learn more of the financial. Marty, Mr. Wilson have taught me a lot. There's still more depth that I'd like to get into. Like I said in the past, since I've taken over, everything is in-house now. The only thing that I don't have is the big projects like the sewer lines. I actually have equipment to do that if we wanted to. I just haven't officially jumped where we could cut that. But they do a really good job. And if something happens, they cover it, we don't. So it's insured by them.
Yeah.
So that's part of the thing that I just haven't jumped on, but pretty much everything in the house, our plumbing, lighting, painting. Our painting, we try to keep all the rooms, everything for the summer, and then now he can do the hallways during the school year, meet the kids. He turned out really well. So it's a positive note. So did I answer any of your questions? Sort of, kind of.
You did a great job. Your team does a great job. I'm still just looking for the top 3 to 5 projects that are putting our district at risk,
It's mainly
facility wise.
our district is setting really good. It's just the outdated at the high school that needs to be upgraded.
Mostly like electrical that you're saying the high school needs to be updated. What types of things are we talking about?
Like
I mean,
classrooms.
I kind of know, but
So classrooms are just, they're outdated. We go in and paint them, but it just needs a facelift. And it's not something that my crew can do. I mean, we can, but it would take a lot longer than, so it's just, it needs to be high school's outdated. It needs a facelift. And we're working on it. We're working with some companies that are coming in and helping us. The one project this summer I didn't get done was the bank for the anniversary, and that company got me the second time and they will not get me on the third time. So we'll take care of it. I'm actually starting that one now so we can have that ready to go for next year. So
any questions, any other questions for Lance?
But do you track work orders? I mean, do
yes.
people put work orders in? How many work orders are you guys running?
So right now, I think I had 117 in the queue.
In the queue, meaning not completed.
At one point in time, we had almost 357. Since teachers are back. And secretaries, it's growing.
He's talking about you two.
Um, It's just, we've gotten them knocked down, but no, we can go through that. I like looking at that a lot.
You're maintaining work orders. I mean, you're decreasing them, which is plausible. Good job. So your PMs, your preventative maintenance.
So HVAC, we got a routine with changing the filters.
Right. So my follow-up to that is just for the board and anybody else listening. Can you put a number on how much money you've saved the district just by PMs?
Literally.
A lot.
It's taken over millions of dollars.
A lot.
Between preventive maintenance and things that we do in-house that we used to do outside. Contract.
I think it's very important that everybody understands that the work that your team does saves us
Yes.
with preventative maintenance.
Yep.
You're extending the life. You're taking a 20-year-old air handler unit and you're making it last another 10 years. At some point, this board needs to be aware, and everybody else, that deferred maintenance and ambiguity collide. So there is a
lot of
point.
that's our grounds.
Huh?
A lot of that's our grounds equipment. We've had that in the district for 30-some years and it's starting to come back to haunt us. So Marty and I are working on it, but it's just.
You're
we're
doing a
gradually
great
getting-
job. I don't want any inference that I'm suggesting otherwise. But I just think it's important that everybody understands that your team is not only spending money, but you're saving money at the same time. To keep Tatiana happy.
Keith, I don't think anybody knows better than you.
It's just for me out there, so that's good.
Keith, I don't think anybody knows better than you how expensive it is to upkeep buildings and how much even more expensive it is to build and totally refurbish buildings. We've got buildings, I think Marty sent me a list not too long ago, 70 years old, 50 years old, 60 years old. And when you go into most of our buildings, they don't feel that old. You go into a house that's that old and it feels like it's falling down. Safety wise, I don't feel like, I mean, yes, could they be nicer and newer and fresher? Of course, but safety wise, they're kept up. It's hard to keep up when you've got, those temporary walls and there's not much they can do with that except for at some point replace those walls.
I will say I had two people last year come up to me and one was from Shawnee Heights and one was from 501. Hopefully nobody's listening for that area, but.
Too late now, Lance.
I'd say it is, but you know what? When they pulled me to the side and told me that they wished that their school had this much pride and clean in the grounds, it made me feel pretty good. And the crew that I've got, I was talking to the new teachers last week. When I first started here, there was only 5 of us maintenance, and then there was like 30-some custodians. Now I'm up to almost 14 maintenance and 53 custodians. So that's what's making this district look the way it is. So.
Team's doing a great job.
Thank you, Lance.
Thank you.
Anything else? Thank you. Appreciate it. Good job. Thank you. Okay, revenue neutral rate for year 27. Lisa.
Sorry there, Lance. Don't get too excited.
Oh, we're money.
Lance knows how to spend money.
He does, and save money. I will give him that.
Yeah.
So, all right. So last week, Mr. Wilson, myself, and Eleni, who is a godsend in my office, she does a lot for the business department. Went and met with the Department of Ed, went over our budget. we felt very confident going in and felt even more confident leaving. We're very proud of the work that went into it and the numbers we're able to present tonight and what we were able to offer our staff for raises for this year. So some of the information we're going to go through will be a repeat for some of you that have been on here, but some good for everybody to rehear it sometimes, as well as people that are out watching. So our enrollment history, as we've talked about in the past, and from the demographic study that we had done, we all are aware that our enrollment continues to decline. And to really put it in perspective, if you look at this chart, it's gone down quite a bit. And one of the major parts of our budget that we get state funding on is based on our enrollment. So we are seeing decreased enrollment, which means we are getting decreased state aid for that. So this just gives you a good glance. You can see we had a little peak year, but we've never been able to fully rebound. And now there's no rebounding, we're just declining. So that is important as we build a budget and as we bring things to present to you guys. That we need to find ways to continue to save as that number continues to go down. Another big part of our.
Lisa,
Yep.
is that 2026 a pretty good estimate? That's probably not a real number yet, exact
These are
number.
fiscal year, so that's last year's.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
okay. So that would be okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Mhm. The next part that helps us get money is the assessed valuation. Positive that is going up, so that helps offset some of the money lost for our declining enrollment. What's the next one? Go ahead. Okay. So some mill levy history. The mill levy is a portion of the tax formula for our community. And we continue to strive to keep it steady or slightly lower as we look to make improvements through the district. For the 25-26 school year, we were able to keep the mill levy steady again, continuing to meet our promise to the community and the board. Last month, we asked the board to approve the proposed max R&R levy of 51.52, which matches last year's budget and what the budget we're bringing to you tonight is based off of. The assessed valuation is another key part of the tax formula. The assessed value has seen good growth over the last couple of years, which is similar to the trends in other districts. It is important to remember that an individual's valuation going up or down will impact the amount of taxes the individual pays. This is regardless of the mill levy that the district puts out. That is all done at the county level. Tax calculations. We used a very, very simple calculation to show you how to explain this if you're asked when you're out and about, how our levies impact an individual's taxes. So when you, the first part is using the state general fund levy. The general fund levy is set by the state. We have no control over the 20 mills, and that money comes out of taxes and straight to the state and then is used to cover state aid within all districts. So if you have a $200,000 house value, everybody is automatically given a $75,000 exemption. So when that's taken away from your 200,000, you get the 125,000. Then that is multiplied by an assessment rate. The assessment rate is again determined at the county level. We don't have any input into that. And depending on what you're doing, if you're doing the residential, commercial, or agriculture, you'll see the different assessment rates. So you go back to that 125, multiply it by your assessment rate. That reduces your assessed value to $14,375. So that is the amount that somebody that owns a $200,000 home is going to pay the 20 mil levy on. So for a $200,000 market value home, the general fund taxes due for the year would be $287.50. That's just the general fund. Then we have, so when you do the R&R, you have the four different areas. That's general fund. The rest makes up the other calculation. The major difference between the two formulas is the calculation for the other mills does not give you an exemption. So it is based off of your true value. So you take that 200,000 again, times that assessed rate that is given to us by the county. That gives you the value we're able to then apply our mill to.
which then means for your $200,000 market value, the other funds would receive $723.40. That money comes straight to us. It goes from you guys to the county to the district. The other one, again, is the flow through of the state aid that we receive from the state. Any questions on that? Yep.
So you touched on it, but even though everybody in the state pays the 20 mills to the state, then that goes into the school finance formula. So we don't get a direct 20 mills back. We might, I don't know exactly, but could be more, could be less. So that's part of the whole big state finance formula. So I wish they could, anyways, it's very confusing for people to think that that's.
I will say what you're getting close to saying, and that is, I would not call that the school's mill levy. I would
No.
call that the state's
It
mill
is.
levy,
Mhm.
because that money goes
Yeah.
straight to the state.
And then they
That's
disperse
property
it,
taxes.
and it's not an even 20
No.
mills to everybody.
No,
So
and
it
it
goes
doesn't
into
pay
the
for
formula.
all of school funding, but it does go into the state's general fund and it
Mhm.
helps supplement that.
Mhm.
But it is in no way a local tax. It
No.
is a state
No.
tax out of the way.
Okay.
Anyway, or
Sorry.
let the state get out of it, just have the school.
Well, actually.
It's closed, it's bad.
So the budget we are presenting to you guys tonight and ask you to review is in great standing, and it will continue to be in good standing as long as we are committed to our long-term plan for financial stability that we worked with you guys on last year. That is a multiple year plan to help us align. What was the word you used? Not align, right size
Right size.
the district.
Right size.
Yes. We do want to thank the board and everybody else that was involved in creating and implementing the financial stability plan. It did allow us to do a few different things this year. One of them was give staff a higher than average salary increase in the education world right now. So that was a very big victory, and we appreciate you guys working with us so we could accomplish that goal. On the transfers that we did, so last month we came and asked for you guys to approve year-end transfers, or to give Mr. Wilson the authority to approve year-end transfers. So we were just going to bring those to your attention. We moved the $898,126 from general fund into special education. And then we were able to put $787,143 into our contingency reserve fund. The contingency reserve fund we brought to your attention, I believe, in 2024 after meeting with Del Dennis at the state. And at that time, I believe we had like $54,600 in it. Not even enough to pay one building worth of salaries if something were to happen. And so Del Dennis went through different examples of why it would be important to have that. We brought that to you guys. You guys have been dedicated to helping us put a healthy balance in there to mitigate anything that would come up and not have the funding for, that we would then have to look to what else to reduce in that year. The biggest advantage of putting money into this fund is not restricted like the other funds. So you can move money from your general to your sped, and so instead of the contingency, if we put it all in our sped, but that is then limited to what you can spend sped on, or if you did that with your at-risk funds. Now, there are mandated transfers by the state that do require us to put money into each of those accounts. But anything above that would then be restricted by what that account is allowed to spend. We're closing the books this year with a healthy balance of $1,314,249, which is more aligned with a recommendation from Del Dennis in the state for a district our size. By doing this, we did reduce the sped transfer compared to other years. We always spend more in sped than what you get in aid. So we always fill that in with some money from the general fund. But this year, we decided to decrease that a little bit and increase the contingency for the reason that it has the less restriction as far as what we can spend it on. But it has a tighter restriction on you have to approve the specific expenditures we were to spend it on. So there's still budget. You guys have to be aware of how we would spend that
and approve that for us. So there's still that oversight, but it's more at your level than within each fund. But we are very excited that we are at a healthy balance in there. And we thank you for your dedication and commitment to helping us achieve that success. So at this time, this is what we are proposing that you guys publish for our hearing. You can see the one thing I will point out, because it is a question that we get asked quite a bit. On the budget column, compared, so your actual expenditures for the first two columns are actual expenditures for 23 and then 25 and then 26. And then we're expecting to spend the next year. The budgeted expenditures will always be more than your actual expenditures. And that is, we have to overestimate the budget to have enough budget authority to spend if the need arises. So we will over budget quite a bit in capital outlay, or if HVACs were to go out, or we get our buildings hit by cars randomly. But then that is out there and we won't have to republish and come to you. Now, it doesn't always protect us from having to come back to republish, but we do look at that when we're making this. That on the far side is the estimated tax levies that we've asked you guys to approve that came through last month, and it matches what we asked for approval. So at this time, we would ask the board to approve the publishing of the 27 budget along with the R&R notice.
One question, comment, and you're gonna have to forgive my memory, and you may not remember, but of our $44-ish million operating budget, we ended up spending all but about 15,000. Does that sound
Yeah,
about
we
right?
were close to.
So about everything we brought in this year, we spent. Again, we probably, with the raises we gave, will spend a little more next year than we'll bring in. But we anticipate to still have a healthy balance going into the uncertainty of the new funding formula that's going to be coming out after this year.
Yes, and the money that we didn't spend out of that carryover that he was referring to was in restricted funds. So
yeah,
to use them would have had to qualify for a certain thing. Otherwise, we were able to use or put into raises everything we got.
like bankable.
Yeah, I heard you make really good money. I heard you make bank and can't wait to come back every month.
That's in our secret. Gotta be quiet.
Yeah. Any questions, concerns?
Just one out of left field. While our attendance or enrollment is declining and our valuations keep increasing, what's our budget strategy for that?
Do you want to?
Sure. So what that ends up doing is it decreases our operational funds for the most part. So our general fund for sure is based on enrollment instead of assessed valuation and levies. So what we have to do is we have to make sure that our staffing and our operational expenditures are reduced in a way that we can cover it with those. What will happen a little bit is we will get a little bit more money out of capital outlay, which is some facilities money, but you can also pay for Lance's maintenance folks out of there. And if you got into a pinch, in fact, we asked you just last year to authorize us to spend 500,000, is that right? 550,000 out of that if necessary. It was not necessary. But that would be something that we might have to do to loosen up some operational costs for salaries. So the strategy gets a little less defined when you don't know what the new funding formula is going to be, because they could change everything as far as what property taxes are allowed to be spent on. They could change the formula for what the state pays out of their general fund and the equalization. It is a complete unknown, which is why having that reserve that is recommended by, I think, the National Governor's Officers Association is essential. And I don't know if it's enough, but we can't morally not spend the money that we make on our staff and our students. But at the same time, not knowing what the state is going to do with that formula is keeps me up a little bit at night, because it's hard to create that strategy you're talking about when you don't know what your next year's paycheck is going to look like.
I guess this is kind of when my two worlds collide, and I'm planning for growth at my employment.
Yep.
And I was just graphically thrown in front of me the decrease in birth rates
Yeah.
across
Mhm.
the United States.
Yep.
Not just Kansas.
Not just Kansas.
So how do you as an organization capture more of the pie? That's my question.
I think one of the things we're gonna have to start looking at is way we leverage grants, or even sometimes federal dollars have the ability to be captured. And sometimes you have to have some lobbyists work with your federal legislators to get that oriented your way. But that might be a way to get a greenhouse, some of those projects that are more specific to student activities and student learning.
And it's all tied together. I mean,
Yep.
the amount of funding that we get from the state versus the deferred maintenance that I spoke on earlier. You can defer for so long, and then all of a sudden
You got
the
trouble.
right side meets the left side, and now we're at a point, and I don't want to get to that point. So I just want to make sure that we're all thinking of that collaboratively and openly.
You know who you should talk to about that? Your state legislator.
Madam President.
Yes, sir.
So Brad, what percentage of our budget comes from the state? I know it's $5,600 and there's some sped and all that. Is it half?
We have I actually have that in a presentation we did, I think my first or second year here. I don't know the actual number of that. I actually can come close. If you could put up the code 99 again and make that as page 1 and make that as big as possible. We're gonna come real close down to that bottom line then. And do you see in that next to last column, those are the levies that we actually have. So our local taxpayers will pay that 19 million. Now, some of that is the 20 mils. So Jeff, actually the top line real quick, if you subtract from that,
60, yeah, so.
is that about 6 or 7 million? Miles aren't that good.
66. So
Okay, so now
13
you're
million.
closer to what, 14 million?
13.
13 million,
Yeah.
and then Jeff, go down to the third to last column. And you can't use transfers, so it's the total expenditures less transfers.
15.
70.
No, next one down, so about the 70 million that we
Yeah.
totally spend. Actually, only about 14 million of that is local taxpayer dollars. So that's why I say a lot of money comes from the state to equalize that funding formula. The 20 mils we send to the state does not cover all the money the state sends to us.
Say that again.
The 20 mils that
The six-
our local taxpayers send to the state does not cover. So there's only probably 2 districts that it does. And that's probably.
Is our base is 5,600 something in that range? Is that right?
5,600.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. And all that comes out of the general fund with the weightings. With the weightings, we'll put that
Right,
up
yeah,
even higher.
that's what I say with the
Yeah.
weightings at risk
Yeah.
and then sped and all
Yeah.
that.
So the state does give us quite a bit of money out of the general fund, and then our local taxpayers supplement that. Probably about 20% maybe.
Yeah, I didn't think it was that high or.
And that is one reason we also put more money into the reserve versus the sped, was because we don't have any idea what the funding formula will be. And I don't think we will until January, and 6 months to plan for this large of a budget made me a little nervous.
Special education will be one area on the new funding formula that could have a significant change. They were talking about, instead of doing it per staff member, they're doing it per student. That would have some districts maybe even getting a little more out of special education, and it may have some districts getting less out of sped. So it's hard to exactly tell. So having that sitting in sped, if sped is funded more, doesn't help us. So you need that as much as possible to be in something as flexible as contingency. So you can, because you can take it from contingency and the board can say, we'll put that back into sped to cover a shortfall in sped if you wanted to.
Yeah.
But once it's in sped, you can't take it back out and do anything else with it.
So back to maybe what Keith was talking about. So just looking here at the bottom of that, it's our total budget, proposed budget is $85 million, 815, whatever. That is 12 million more than last year, 73,227.
Yeah. Two things on that I would
So
change.
if our
Go ahead.
enrollment is declining, but our budget is increasing.
So two things.
So it,
Let me correct some
Okay.
things, because that's what Lisa just said is the misunderstanding that a lot of people have when they look at the budget. So,
well, it's 85,815.
well, first of all, no, it's not. So some of that money is counted twice. That's why they do less transfers. And see the 70 million below that?
Okay.
That is, they're taking away the money that's counted twice. So they take all the
The
money,
15,
the
okay.
44 million that is.
So
in-
we're,
Hang on, wait a
Okay.
second.
okay, okay.
So the 44 million that are operational funds, that's what we can pay salaries out of. That's what we can pay student supplies out of, those types of things. At risk, we have some qualifications on, but see that 4 million that's sitting in bond and interest that we're gonna spend this year? That's the only thing we can spend that.
Right.
Capital outlay, we can only spend on capital outlay, but if you look at capital outlay, it's a great example. It says $9 million we're gonna spend out of capital outlay. What did we spend last year out of capital outlay? Three. We're not spending 9 million out of capital outlay unless we have a huge unforeseen issue. So we have to anticipate the worst case scenario, build a budget that covers all of that money, and then hope the worst case doesn't happen, because the fact is, if we spent 7 million or 9 million out of capital outlay, we'd be in deep trouble.
Sure, but you can't, that's dedicated to cap outlay.
That's dedicated to cap outlay.
So you can't transfer that to sped.
You're right, 100%. So
we
what,
also
hold on,
spent
guys, we got too many voices here now. Let's be clear. We overestimate our expenditures in
Okay.
every fund. The reason I chose capital outlay is that one is obvious. When you go, you're not going from 3 million to 9 million. But if you have the money there, which is where we carry over some funds for emergencies, you have to put in your budget that you're spending all of it, or you can't spend it.
Right, because that number, I'm assuming that 9 million, whatever it is just doing the math off the 8 mils. Where that come from?
No, it's actually more than that.
It's just so we don't have to republish the
It's
budget.
It's
later.
spending basically everything that's in the carryover plus everything we make with the 8 mils and state aid and capital outlay. It's spending almost all of our capital outlay. We won't do that. That would be fiscally an issue, but if the high school's roof caved in and what, Olive's roof caved in because we had a big snow, we might spend $9 million. And that would be a bad situation, but that's how you have to build a budget, not based on what you think you're going to spend, but the absolute most, because this is a spending limit, almost the opposite of what your home budget is. Your home budget, you spend for what you make. If you look at just the general fund, what is it, 33 million up there?
Mhm.
We will not make 33 million this year. We have padded that. And at the end of the year, they will do an audit. Actually, in the middle of the year, they will do an audit of our enrollment. And then they will actually give us about 31 million. That will cause the LOB to decrease as well. That's one reason why our carryover in LOB, we can't spend it. We spend everything we can out of LOB, but there's a carryover of $1 million. That's taxpayer money. That's not our money. And that goes to lower next year's tax rate. A lot of complicated things that go into this, but you certainly cannot say that we're going to go from spending even after transfers, because that money's counted twice, 58 million to 7. I'm going to guess when we get into actual expenditure, in fact, look at last year, 2 years ago to last year.
62 to 58.
62 to 58.
Mhm.
That's a pretty good indication of our declining enrollment. And that probably is what will happen next year. Now, the unknown part of that decrease was we decreased capital outlay. That's not a good fund to measure it by. So if we spent more in capital outlay, we might spend more than 3 million. We might spend 5 million depending on what projects.
You go back 2 years ago at 7 million.
Yeah. And that's because there was a period of time where we spent almost nothing out of capital outlay and we started catching back up. So it's not as simple as to say you get more money or you don't get more money. This is not based on revenue. This is totally based on maximum expenditures. Our revenue, we can put that out as well. In fact, that's always put out the next year after your school year. And so the stuff that's in the actual, if you follow that up to revenue in each of our funds, that actually is accurate what we brought in each of those funds. Not necessarily on this page, but in the actual budget. The budget's 180 pages. This is just 2 of those pages. Other questions that brings up? I know we could get pretty deep in this.
You just had one more statement.
Yes.
So Lisa, we're at 51.452 bond rate, mill levy.
Yes.
How's that compare to Heights Rule 501?
We actually did that last year, the year before.
Yep.
So
Yes.
you just thought rural is like 57. I just looked it up the other day.
Yeah.
With the data center going out there, possibly. They're at 57. I know that, but a lot of that has to be because of all the bonds, all the new schools they built here recently.
And the same with Shawnee Heights. They're gonna have a little higher than us because of bonds.
Yeah.
And then Topeka 501 is actually lower because of how much money they get for their at-risk high poverty situation. So they actually have a very, very
The
low.
mill levy rate prior to this was what?
Last year it was 51.448.
Well, we submitted though
Right.
51.52 last year.
When
Same as
we
we are this year.
submit the 51.452, it matches last year's. The reasons last year's is lower is because we're submitting on an estimate the county gives us to estimate on.
And
So
then
they then will go back through and audit it. And for us, it's on, if you go up a couple.
Yeah, go to your page that you actually put that on there. That's a great page.
Keep going.
Keep going.
It's like this
Right
one.
there.
So this will show you like what we budgeted for 25 and what the official levy was at the end of the year. And that is because our budget is based off of an estimate we get from the county. So there will always be, it'll never be perfect. There will always be wiggle room. But we try to, when we come and ask you guys,
Show them 25 as an example. It's a great example.
the 51.466 to the
Yep.
51.209.
Yep.
So that one was a great year. We went down 0.257 for the 25 year. Last year it wasn't as big, but we also went in lower. When we requested, we went in with no, we did not. Yeah, we did. So the year before we were at 51.466. We took into account how that levy worked out and how the budget was looking, and we were able to go in with a tighter 51.452 compared to the year before.
But we can't predict what that's going to do. The only thing we know for sure is that 20 has to stay the 20 because it's not ours. 8 capital outlay cannot go up, has to go down only because the cap is 8. And then especially for this year, we put in our other two together at the level that would get you a total of 51.452. So those cannot go up either together. They have to go down only. So it can do nothing except for really go down. We just don't know how much because one year it was 0.257 and the next year it was 0.004. So
I'm satisfied. I'm
Yeah.
happy. I appreciate all the work you and your team. And
she's amazing.
Brad
Yeah.
did, so
Nope, she's
thank
amazing.
you.
Yes.
Lisa, I text, emailed Brad today and said, yay, Lisa gets to explain taxes again. Good job.
But I do appreciate your guys' questions. It's hugely important for our community to know this stuff. So the questions are perfect.
Well, and if you have them, somebody else does out there.
Well, Lisa doesn't love them.
I mean,
It's important that our community knows that we're taking care of their money.
yes.
It's a huge responsibility in my over here. It's
I thank you, Lisa.
Yes.
Yay.
Absolutely.
oh yeah, no, yeah, now I know. Like
Okay, we are on to action items. We have a whole slew of policy. Whole policy updates. I'm gonna let Mr. Wilson go through these.
So based on feedback from board members, I do just want to highlight a few. I think there's 3 that we are changing from what we submitted last board meeting, and those changes are in there. First one is policy JGFGA. There is a section in there that says, and this is the one on the Narcan, and I'm going to summarize. Basically, it says that you can use Narcan up to 10 years after it's expired. However, your nurse may not be able to give expired medicines without losing their license. So we thought, why even have that in there? Our plan is to, or we have removed pursuant to Kansas law, emergency opioid antagonist is defined to include an expired emergency opioid antagonist up to 10 years past the product's expiration date. Therefore, the individual responsible for the product safekeeping shall replace the product once it has expired on or before the 10th anniversary of the expiration date. Later, it says nurses can't let that happen. And so why that is in there, I don't know. So we just got rid of it. We will replace it on the expiration date or before the expiration date, and not give expired medicines out to anybody. And then if we go to questions on that policy change.
That seems really crazy that like you can.
I know.
But
the
nurses will get in
this
trouble.
bar you-
So the
This is-
teacher can get the expired,
I guess.
but the nurse
Just gonna
can't.
see that in my room. Give it out.
There you go.
Okay, so IIBGC, I haven't flipped anything around. Staff online activities, it said that while not in direct violation of applicable law or this policy, staff members are strongly discouraged from creating personal social media accounts. We would like to add creating or using their own personal accounts, because if they already have one, they wouldn't need to create it. They might use it though, so.
Just to clarify, Brad, we're not saying they can't have social media accounts. You need to finish the sentence, which is with which they
Sure.
connect with current or
Yes.
future students.
Yes.
So. It's the way that you phrase that, if someone isn't following along, that might have some
Sorry.
confusion.
Yeah.
No.
Yes,
Teachers.
finishes, yeah.
Right.
And then IHF. It states that in addition to the 25 graduation credits, that they will also complete, and it's worded as 2 accomplishments that demonstrate the student will be a successful high school graduate. And had a question on what that meant. Well, actually, KSDE has put in a graduation requirement that students should have 2 post-secondary assets, and it defines those post-secondary assets. They could be 9 college hours. They could be 4-H Key Award. It could be an Eagle Scout. There's a whole list of those. So it doesn't make sense to be so ambiguous, and we just put and complete two. So changing that sentence to below it, and complete two post-secondary assets as defined by KSDE. We think that's a lot clearer of a way to state that.
Because those might change.
They could potentially.
Yeah.
Or added would probably be what it would be. Yeah. Everything else is the same as you saw last board meeting. Madam President, I make a motion to approve. The different policy updates provided by Brad as presented.
I second.
It's been moved by Braden and seconded by Michelle. Any discussion?
I'd like to discuss E.
Okay.
EE.
What is the benefit of reducing the negative balance from $49 to negative $25?
So
It's the
one,
first one, Jeff. EE.
so school federal lunch, and I wish I had Marty, would you do a better job of doing this than I would probably? I wish we had Kay here. Kay helped write this.
So they're leaving.
Kay's the expert in this, but go ahead, Marty.
Couple of things, this keeps us from having larger negative balances. We used to be at $150, what we had. And then we lose it down, and I believe it was a year ago, it was $149.99. Moving to 25 and being consistent with what all the other districts do, we're the only ones that aren't that way, from what Dave's told me. And what it does is, if you look at the amount of money, we're in the black with food service. But we need to do everything we can to negate that continuing to happen. Because once we do, we'll start having to use some of that general fund, all of it.
But it's more than a money issue, as Kay explained it. When a student goes negative, they are required to give them an alternate meal, which Kay feels like is shaming to a kid, and to give them a peanut butter and jelly sandwich instead of a hot meal. And so she feels like by doing this, we get to go straight to the parent quicker and get that put back into their money account and not have to give them a peanut butter meal instead of a real hot meal.
Well, just for informational purposes only.
Yep.
Do we have any idea what our negative balance was last year?
I would hate to say without double checking. To me, I don't know. I think it's speculation.
We do have some angel funds that help pay for families that struggle, because essentially they could get free or reduced lunch if they had a certain income level. But we also have an angel fund that helps pay for families that are maybe having a temporary issue with paying their bills. And so we can help supplement that some. But her thing is to decrease the amount of time a student would be in the negative and have to get a peanut butter meal instead of a real meal.
So am I to understand that at negative $25, a student has to get an alternative meal?
No,
Or is there
at
another
negative period, I believe they are
negative
supposed,
period?
negative period. So before it kind of drug on until that thing got to negative 150, then it was also, when it was overwhelming for families. Instead, we take action sooner. She sends out stuff right when they're negative. She sends out multiple letters, but we have more action happening sooner in that case. We never cut off a kid from having a meal. That doesn't happen.
Well, I'm not gonna challenge Kay's expertise in nutrition.
I don't either. I think that is smart. That's what I do. That's why I kind of deferred to Mark.
This is a forum to ask questions.
Yep.
I
agree.
I was challenged a little
Yeah.
bit.
I was too, because it looks like we're not giving as much grace
I mean, at a negative 25 balance, to me, it's gonna cost us more to send it to a debt collector than it is.
Yeah.
To just write it off as bad debt.
Yeah.
So I'm just having the conversation.
I do have an odd question. If
Uh-huh.
the alternate meal is PB&J, what happens if that kid has an allergy?
I'm sure they find something else that's an alternate meal. I don't know though. I'm guessing, because you're right. If they're not gonna, yeah,
Yeah,
maybe
my
it is a
kid-
cheese sandwich. I don't know. My daughter couldn't do it. Yes, I don't think Kay's into killing children.
If you're
The funny thing is Kay is probably listening and probably appalled at my explanation. And I apologize, Kay. Yeah.
So it's been moved and seconded. Any other discussion? Okay, all in favor, raise your right hand, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay, approved as presented. Publishing the notice, consider publishing the notice of FY 27 to exceed revenue neutral rate hearing.
That's the page 2 part of it, Jeff. Lisa, any questions for Lisa on this?
Madam President,
Yes.
I move considering the building needs assessment, including state assessment scores to approve publishing the notice of the fiscal year 27 revenue neutral rate hearing in the Metro News.
It's been moved by Michelle and seconded by Christie. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion passed. Publishing the notice, consider publishing the notice of fiscal year 27 budget hearing.
Madam President, I move considering the building needs assessment, including state assessment scores to approve publishing the notice of fiscal year 27 proposed budget in the Metro News.
It's been moved by Michelle and seconded by Christie. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion passed. Okay, consider bids. Here comes Marty.
I'm going to briefly touch on some information that you guys already have, so I won't be too redundant. But INA alert bid, we are going to recommend that for a couple different reasons. One, intrusion. The proposal includes replacing all the Bosch alarm panels and keypads, and also has some monitoring, which we don't have right now. Bogan intercom system, which you remember Jeff had asked about parts because the end of life is 2033. I get that one right. And then it will not be supported. This will allow us to go ahead and change to the new Nyquist system, which will utilize our infrastructure and will also have and Bogan is our intercom systems. Monitoring for the Bogan intercom and some other items that are available, including the door fob system. Some of those upgrades can occur. We are going to ask that you would approve a total commitment not to exceed $381,901.64. This will be done on an individual building basis, so that bill won't come all at once. It may take 3 years for us to get to that, but by you guys doing this and approving it now, we're able to lock in those prices. And I think Jeff would agree with me that, first of all, this is about a third of what we were thinking it was going to cost us. So that's a good deal on the part. And the other thing is, I think you would say that the cost for these items is going to go up substantially, probably fairly soon.
What was it you said? No more than
$381,901.64.
thank you.
And Jeff, it says the quote's valid through July 9.
But
Have you verified that they'll honor this?
Pushed off.
Yeah, I figured.
Yeah.
Thank you.
They were good.
To follow up on Michelle's question, you said not to exceed, so that leads me to believe that
We believe it'll be less than that.
Okay.
Because there are some items that they're offering, which we are still debating whether or not we actually need. And they're good with that.
And you said per building, like as the building's done, it'll get paid.
Right, we'll get paid for that. There may be a $38,000 bill for the high school.
Okay.
And we'll take that, but this way you guys don't have to have us come back each time and we can just go ahead and take care of it.
So this is turnkey, low voltage cabling, everything.
Yeah, that's a Jeff question.
Everything in this bid utilizes our existing infrastructure, which is part of the reason why it's so inexpensive compared to what our original estimate was. So all the Bosch alarm panel stuff, all the guts of the building are compatible with the new system. So they're basically just replacing keypads and all the monitoring that goes with it. Same thing for all the Bogan stuff, all the clocks still work, all the speakers in the ceiling still work. Door control stuff still works.
So it's mainly just hardware.
It's basically hardware's in the controls for it.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
What was that? What did Lance?
There are some upgrades.
Okay.
Lisa has money for it.
We've got it budgeted.
Just like.
Don't have Lisa at this time of year.
We talked to Lisa.
Madam President, I make a motion to approve the INA alert bid as presented.
Moved by Braden, seconded by Diana. Any other discussion or questions? All in favor, raise your right hand, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion passed.
Thank you, Jeff.
21 credit
So,
graduation rate.
21 credit graduation request. You should have the information on this. And I would say that this is the exact reason that this piece of legislation was passed. This particular student is the exact example that that this is a good thing for students and a good thing that the state passed this legislation.
Madam President, I make a motion to approve the 21 credit graduation request as presented.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Christie, seconded by Braden. Heath, whoever. One of these guys, you take care of it, Candace. Candace has it. Any other questions? Anything? All in favor, raise your right hand, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion passed. Okay, Marty, still you.
Absolutely.
Transportation.
And you guys had this opportunity to see the transportation handbook that Rana and her folks put together, and we would recommend it be approved as presented.
Madam President, I make a motion to approve the student parent transportation handbook as presented.
Second. Okay, moved by Braden, seconded by Diana. Any questions, discussion?
No, but can you just tell Ronna how much we love her? She
did a good job on that.
I will tell her as soon as she starts wearing the same shoes on both feet.
Oh, she's gonna be mad at her.
And she's gonna see that.
Make sure you.
You threw her under the bus.
May or may not have a picture up said,
I may have one on my phone.
You were in trouble.
I am.
Okay, any other questions for Marty or Rana? Nothing, seeing none. All in favor, raise your right hand, say aye. Aye, opposed, same sign. Motion approved.
Before you adjourn, I may need to ask you to vote on a new executive director of school. Because we may be replacing them. After Rana gets to him.
All